Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. My name is Matilda Reckford, and I work with the EHLS program at the Center for Applied Linguistics. And I'm joined today by Dr. Kevin Gormley and by Dr. Suzanne Matula. So a little bit about today. We're going to talk about the English for Heritage Language Speakers program, what to expect during the academic program and after EHLS as one starts fulfilling the service requirement. And we have some wonderful experts here today. Throughout our presentation, please ask your questions by typing them into the Q&A box, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. So let me first do a quick overview of the EHLS program before we dive in deeper. So what is EHLS? EHLS is a scholarship program with the focus on professional English communication and career skills. The program trains advanced speakers of English to be effective communicators and strong candidates for federal jobs. It's hosted by Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. Every scholar admitted to the program receives a full scholarship funded by the federal government, and the program is 8 months in length. The first 6 months are full-time on the Georgetown University downtown campus, and the final 2 months are part-time, conducted online. Participants are native speakers of critical languages who come from diverse cultural, educational, and professional backgrounds, but they are all united by and interested in a commitment to public service. So why EHLS? EHLS was established because critical language skills are in high demand in the US government. There are other government-sponsored programs to teach critical languages to native English speakers, but this is the only program designed to prepare individuals with native knowledge of critical languages for the federal workplace. And now a brief background on the organization and history of EHLS. EHLS is a partnership among 4 organizations: the Defense Language and National Security Education Office, or DELENCIO, where Dr. Kevin Gormley works, and we'll hear more about DELENCIO soon. The Center for Applied Linguistics, or CAL, where I work, we oversee instruction and coordinate language testing. The Georgetown University, that provides instruction, where Suzanne works, and the Institute for International Education, or IIE, that oversees the application process. EHLS was started in 2006, and 2024 will be the 19th program year, which is very exciting. A little bit about the scholarship benefits and terms. The scholarships for the EHLS program are awarded through the Defense Language and National Security Education Office. Each scholarship provides full tuition and fees for the 8-month academic program, in addition to a living stipend. That stipend is $3,600 a month during the first 6 months of the program, and $1,200 a month during the last 2 months of the program, the 2 online part of the program. The scholars who are moving from outside the DC area can also be reimbursed by DELENCIO for relocation costs up to $1,000. But it's important to keep your receipts for any of that. Other benefits include health insurance through Georgetown University, a laptop computer on which you can complete your EHLS assignments and that you can keep after the program ends, a certificate from Georgetown University upon successful completion of the program, and that certificate itself opens many doors, especially in the DC area. And scholars must also agree to the following terms: full-time attendance and successful completion of the academic program, agreement not to work during the academic program, the full-time portion of the academic program, so the first 6 months of the program, and acceptance of a service requirement after completing the academic program. And we'll talk about the service requirement today. And a little bit about the eligibility. You must be a US citizen at the time of application. You must be a native speaker of one of the 27 languages listed here, and you must have professional level proficiency in that language. You must have advanced proficiency in English. Your proficiency in both English and your critical language will be formally tested, and we will discuss the details of that process later in the presentation. You must have a college degree that is at least a bachelor's degree or equivalent to a bachelor's degree in the US. You must be able to use the internet, word processing programs, and PowerPoint. You must commit to the full-time day program from January through June in Washington, D.C. At Georgetown University. And you must be willing to work for the federal government for 1 year in a position with national security responsibilities after the program. It will be your responsibility to find that position. Now I will pass it on to Suzanne to talk about the academic program.
Great. Thank you, Matilda. I'm delighted to be here to share more about the academic program itself with you. And I think the first area I'd like to focus on is the goals of the academic program. So next slide, please. As was mentioned earlier, the goals of the academic program for EHLS is to achieve a high level of proficiency in English, focusing on reading, writing, listening, and speaking skills, and also to develop key professional skills and to help polish these skills, as well as to develop an understanding of the federal job search process and the government workplace context. So these are our goals across the 8-month program with EHLS. And next slide, please. Here you can see the program schedule for this coming year, 2024. The program is broken up into 2 parts. The intensive component of the program, which is the first 6 months, January through June, and then 2 months of the part-time online program. And I'll talk about both of these in just a moment, but I want to reiterate, and I'll repeat it many times, that the full-time program from January through June is full-time. It is very intense, and it involves being on campus in person Monday through Friday, pretty much from 9 to 5. So just like a full-time program. Next slide, please. This next slide shows how the program is broken up into smaller components. Across the entire 8 months of the program, we have 4 sessions, session 1, session 2, session 3, session 4. And you can see here that between each session, there is a 1-week break, during which there are no classes. We strongly recommend that during these breaks, scholars take advantage of this time off by scheduling important appointments, doctor's appointments, travel plans, perhaps other aspects of life that need to be taken care of. This program is very intensive, and during the class time, we do not offer excused absences, even with the doctor's note. We follow the Georgetown University guidelines of 15% absences allowed. More than that, and scholars are in danger of not successfully completing a class and not successfully completing the program. And so for that reason, we suggest that doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, and all other appointments are scheduled during these break times rather than during the program sessions. And we've also included graduation here on the program schedule because in-person attendance at graduation is also mandatory for successful program completion. Next slide. Great. I think it's helpful to share what some of the expectations are during the program, expectations that we have of scholars. We expect that all scholars actively participate in all of the classes, tutorials, and activities as they are scheduled. This includes your attendance in person Monday through Friday on Georgetown's SCS campus, which is in downtown DC. This also includes participation in activities and also completion of all assigned tasks by the assigned deadline. One question we often get is whether the program includes homework. Yes, it does. There is a great deal of work that scholars will need to do in the evenings and on the weekends to complete all of the tasks and successfully meet the program objectives. And so it is not the case that when 5 o'clock comes on Friday, you are done until Monday morning. There will be work in the evenings and over the weekends that you will need to do. Next slide, please. It's helpful also to look at what some of the courses are that all students, all scholars are enrolled in. Here you can see we've broken it down by the intensive program and then the part-time online program. Let's talk about the intensive program first. There are 4 courses that all scholars will take across the 6 months of the intensive program. You can see here they're reading and writing for professionals, professional oral communication, news analysis, and career skills. In the reading and writing for professionals class, students are working on developing written summaries and briefs, as well as perfecting their language skills with some work on grammar and vocabulary, especially with working through polishing the fine-tuning aspects of a language. You'll be learning how to write reports and also do research, drawing on sound analytical conclusions. In the professional oral communications course, scholars are making presentations on a weekly basis, and these presentations are often recorded so that your instructors are able to provide comments and feedback for you, and also for you to be able to review your own presentation as you watch the recorded presentations. By the time the end of the program and formal presentations come up, our scholars are always well prepared, having had so much practice, and everyone does very well on these presentations. In the news analysis class, scholars are assigned articles to read right out of the headlines and taught how to do critical analysis of the news. So, for example, each scholar might report a news piece from their area of the world to the entire class on a given day. And last, but certainly not least, the 4th course is the Career Skills Development course, where you will be polishing your professional skills to be successful in employment within the U.S. government in an area supporting national security. You will become comfortable sending emails in English and will understand the proper format and protocol that is expected of you. You'll learn negotiation skills as well as how to run an effective meeting. Certainly throughout the program, you will be creating, polishing, and tailoring your resume so that when it is time to start applying for positions, you will have a beautifully perfected resume to submit for federal future employers. You will also have the opportunity to participate in mock interviews and actually have agency representatives come in to do these practice interviews with you and provide feedback. We will even discuss areas such as how to dress and how to prepare for an interview. You will see that after 3 of these classes, we also have in parentheses tutorials. Each scholar will meet individually, one-on-one, with the instructor once a week for each of these 3 tutorials. So in short, over 1 week, you will be taking 4 classes and participating in 3 tutorials. It really does become a busy day and a busy week. One thing I'd like to note is we have set up the course and the faculty structure so that we actually have 2 reading and writing instructors. And out of the entire 18 scholars, there are 9 scholars per class. If you have instructor A for reading and writing, then you would have instructor B for the reading and writing tutorial. This way, you're able to get input, feedback, and guidance from both instructors. We have set up the professional oral communications the same way. One instructor for the class, the other instructor for the tutorials. All right, next slide, please. You may be wondering, what does this all look like for a sample day? What might a day look like? This is a sample schedule, but it gives you an idea that from 9 until here, this day, 5:30, or in most cases, 5 o'clock, you're busy. You might be having individual tutorial time. You will have class time with your professional oral communications class, reading and writing, more individual tutorials, news analysis, and also the career skills development class. It's a busy day. Next slide, please. Okay, so what does a week look like? This is a sample weekly schedule. And here you can see we've tried to color code it so that the pinkish on my screen color is the professional oral communication skills course. So that means 4 days a week for just under 2 hours each day. Later on in the day, most days in green is the reading and writing class, which meets in the afternoon. And then at the very end of the day in gray is the news analysis class. In orange, you will see the career skills development class, which is at the end of the day here on Wednesday. And also in that same color is on Fridays, the introduction to federal government, or the guest speakers part of the program. This is an opportunity for scholars to interact with representatives from different agencies within the federal government and also contractors who come to Georgetown, come to the program to speak with the scholars, to share more information about opportunities within their agency and also tips for any unique application processes, and to answer questions that scholars may have. It's a wonderful way for scholars to learn more about the different agencies and the different types of opportunities there are there. You will also note that in kind of a purpley lilac color, there's no class scheduled. There's nothing in writing there. You may ask, well, what happens then? Well, these are all the times that the instructors will be offering the tutorials. Remember, each scholar will have 3 tutorials each week. And so your tutorial will be scheduled your tutorials, will be scheduled at some point during those open slots. Now, if you don't have a tutorial at that particular slot, we really do recommend that you take advantage of that free time to come in on campus and treat it as a free work time where you're able to sit down, get ahead with some of your homework, catch up with other things so that you can really use your time as effectively as possible during the time you are here at Georgetown. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, all of the work during the intensive component of the program is gearing up to our capstone event, which is called the Open Source Analysis Project, or OSAP, as we call it. This is our capstone project. And this is really your chance as an EHLS scholar to show off your knowledge and skills. This is an analytic research assignment. You will work with a federal agency mentor on a topic that is provided by them. Perhaps your mentor is an expert in that area of the world that you have background expertise in, but that mentor does not have the native language capability or skills or the cultural knowledge that you as a native speaker have. You will be able to provide that knowledge in doing research on a specific topic, which is a huge asset to them. You get to do research on the topic in your native language and perhaps other languages that you might know that are related. For example, past scholars from the Maghreb have done their research in Arabic, French, and Tamashek. Through this project, you will be writing a written report in the style of a federal briefing, and you will also be participating in giving a presentation at our symposium presentations, which is a formal presentation at the end of June. In both the written work and the presentation, you'll be sharing the results of almost 6 months of analytic work. Many scholars get job offers as a result of their OSAP research, both their written work and their presentation. All right, next slide, please. I'd like to conclude by sharing a few additional expectations that we have of scholars. And these are characteristics that we have found really make for a very successful scholar within the program. Having solid goals is very important. This is a very intense program over 6 months, and being able to reflect back on your own personal goals and motivation for being in the program is incredibly important. Another expectation of a wonderful characteristic is having a desire to continue learning beyond just the classroom and beyond just what you are asked to do on individual assignments, to embrace the idea of independent and autonomous learning, to be excited about learning, and to continue with your work outside the classroom. The program is specifically developed to require a great deal of collaboration. This is collaboration both peer-to-peer for the scholars, but also collaboration with your instructors. The instructors are here to really work with you in helping you continue to refine your language skills and also your professional skills. And last, but certainly not least, is a willingness to incorporate feedback. Throughout the program, you will be receiving a vast amount of feedback from all of your instructors during your class time and your tutorials. And this feedback is all given to you from the perspective of helping you to grow, helping you to further polish and develop your language skills and your professional skills. And certainly we are expecting that this feedback is assimilated and incorporated into future iterations of your work throughout the program. I hope this gives you a little bit of an idea of what to expect during the program. And I would now like to turn the floor over to Dr. Gormley, who will be sharing more information with you about the service requirement that happens after the program.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for joining us. So I'm Kevin Gormley. I'm the director of the EHLS program for the Department of Defense, Defense Security, National Security Education Program. So what I'd like to do now is not only talk to you about what comes after the EHLS program, but also talk about how to be a successful and competitive applicant. So let's kind of go through the relationship between talking about the service requirement and the application itself for just a moment. The goals of the EHLS program are to train advanced English speakers to be effective communicators and strong candidates for federal jobs. So what we want you to do is describe your long-term commitment to public service. And the question that you're going to find in the application is, how do you plan on fulfilling the service requirement? Treat this essay question almost like you're applying for a job. Be specific about which positions you would pursue to fulfill your requirement. Instead of providing vague overviews of these positions, for example, just saying foreign service, research how your EHL experience will build your skills for a specific position and why you would be a good fit for that. So let's talk about the EHLS service requirement and how you can think about this as you're writing your application for the EHLS scholarship opportunity, and also as you're thinking about your future. So the EHLS service requirement has a 1-year term That means you have 1 year of full-time service after you complete the EHLS program. You can begin that service anytime within 3 years of graduating from the program. Next. So there's 3 tiers of possible service within the NSEP EHLS service requirement. Tier 1 is with the Departments of Defense, Homeland Security, State, and the intelligence community. Any position within these organizations can fulfill the service requirement. In the next tiers, these positions are looked at on an individual basis to determine if they're related to national security. First is Tier 2, and this is work in the greater federal government. So when you finish the program and apply to NSEP to see if your job opportunity helps to fulfill the service requirement, you will talk in more detail about that. And we'll talk more specifically about where some of these organizations are. And finally, the third tier, if you're not able to find a position in the federal government related to national security, you can work in the U.S. higher education or other educational opportunities related to your NSEP study. So in this case, it would be related to your native language or that particular region of the world. Next, please. So here we can see the four main priority areas, as I discussed before: the Department of Defense, State, Homeland Security, and the intelligence community. Next slide, please. EHLS graduates have found jobs throughout many components of the federal government. And here are just a few examples, including language instructors, program analyst positions, management analyst positions, and intelligence analyst positions. I spoke a few moments ago about working in the broader federal government in Tier 2 to fulfill the service requirement. If you're unable to find a suitable position within Tier 1, you can then expand your job search to include positions in Tier 2, positions in the greater federal government with national security responsibilities. Some past scholars have found jobs in other agencies, but the position needed to have national security responsibilities. And it was up to the scholar to make that case to NSEP. NSEP has a very broad understanding of national security, including issues of population and migration, public health, diplomacy, and economic competitiveness. For example, we have a scholar who is fulfilling their service requirement at the Department of Commerce. So there's other eligible service areas that we want to bring to your attention as well. You can, after finishing the EHLS program, you can look at internships within the federal government. There are recent graduate programs. If you've recently graduated from a higher educational program, that could include the Presidential Management Fellows Program. You're also eligible to look for positions with federal contractors, and those can fall within Tier 1 or Tier 2. That said, any position with a federal contractor that you're interested in getting fulfill your service requirement through, we do look at those on a case-by-case basis. You must make a good faith effort to find a position in Tier 1 or Tier 2. Again, as I said earlier, we do provide permission to those who have not been able to find a position in Tier 1 or Tier 2 to fulfill the service requirement through education. And please keep in mind that volunteer work in any of these tiers of service can count toward your service requirement. Here's a few examples of federal government contractors where EHLS scholars have worked, where they've been able to fulfill their service requirement. You can see AECOM, they often have analysts of looking at information for federal organizations. Organizations like Diplomatic Language Services that provides language instruction, and FHI 360, which supports USAID on international development initiatives. Next slide, please. So here's the big question. Who finds this job for me? Well, it's going to be your responsibility to find a job that helps fulfill your service requirement. But here's the thing. We have a large team of people at Dalencia who are behind you and help to support you through this process of fulfilling the service requirement. So you're not left on your own, and you have lots of support behind you to help you. And in addition, there is the career skills class that Dr. Matula mentioned within the EHLS program. Career skills that you can consider are using online tools for a job search, evaluating positions, researching agencies, preparing targeted documents, and honing your interview skills. As we mentioned as well, there is the Friday Speaker Series within the program, where we have guest speakers from various federal agencies who come to the EHLS program to speak to you about job opportunities. And we work together we at Dalencia work together with the instructors here at Georgetown University to find those federal agencies to come speak with you. Many of them are interested in hiring people who are scholars in the EHLS program. And we have a relationship with a broad set of federal agencies and federal contractors who are interested in hiring EHLS scholars. This program exists for a reason. It exists because people like you are needed to help support national security. Next slide, please. So after the EHLS program, as I was saying before, you're not alone. You have NSEP in the wings helping you. You'll have exclusive job opportunities and career advice that's available through a website portal where we have an entire set of information and opportunities for you to report your service that you've fulfilled. We have exclusive career fairs at federal agencies. We have mentorship programs. We provide letters of certification that you can provide to potential employers that say you're a graduate of the EHLS program and you have specific hiring authorities as well. We can review resumes and help you with cover letters, and we can provide career search consultations. We're doing that mostly by phone or by Zoom these days, as many are. But there might be opportunities in person as well. NSEP's able to create exclusive jobs because of these hiring privileges. Essentially, these privileges allow government agencies to directly appoint someone to a position instead of having to publicly post it on, say, USA Jobs. You can create positions through networking. You can work with federal agencies and go to them and say, hey, I have these hiring authorities, and you can create a position using these hiring authorities and hire me. We can help you with that at Dalencia. Let me just really briefly describe these hiring authorities to you. First, we have Schedule A, Paragraph R. And I must mention that I was a NSEP award recipient many years ago, and I came on to federal service using Schedule A, Paragraph R. This allows you to enter into government service non-competitively. That means you don't have to, that means an organization can hire you directly. They don't have to post a job on USA Jobs, and they can hire you if they have an opening and bring you on board for a term of up to 4 years. Now, NDAA, if you're brought on board with the authority within the National Defense Authorization Act, NDAA 2013, what the difference there is that allows them to, after a probationary period of a couple years, if they like the work that you've performed and they want to keep you on board permanently, they can convert you into a permanent position with the NDAA 2013 authority. Next slide, please. So I also want to bring to your attention that while many jobs are here in the Washington, D.C. area, there are jobs all over the world where you can fulfill your service requirement. Now, we've got some cities marked there where EHLS scholars have fulfilled their service requirement, but you could possibly work at a U.S. embassy or consulate office. You could work at a military base anywhere in the world. There's many, many opportunities of where you could work to fulfill your service requirement. Now, here's a big question that many people ask. Will I need to get a security clearance to obtain a job working in the federal government? Well, first off, you don't have to have a security clearance before you apply for a job. That's one of the things in a process of getting a job. But first off, I want to mention that not all jobs require a security clearance. All jobs do require a basic background check. But you'll see in the job posting if the position requires a security clearance. And security clearances are at 3 different levels. There's confidential, secret, and top secret. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail right now about the security clearance process, but based on the level of requirement within the job position description in the job advertisement, you know, the level of clearance will add the level of detail which the federal government will go to look into your background. Keep in mind that it's only the federal government that can provide a clearance and adjudicates, finalizes the process of awarding a security clearance. So a couple things to keep in mind regarding the security clearance. They can take several months, and depending on your background, possibly over a year. Some of the things to look at regarding is residence, education, foreign connections, and your finances. Also, while illegal drug use is looked at, it depends on how long it's been and what was involved. You could ask the organization that has the position description more details if you're interested. After you finish the EHLS program, one thing I want to make you aware of is while you're abroad, you cannot be applying for positions that require a security clearance. You have to postpone. It doesn't mean you can't initiate the process, but you can't continue communication while you're abroad. We have many EHLS scholars who take a break after they complete the program and they maybe go visit family or something like that. You can do that. Next slide, please. And here are a few search engines that you might consider looking at where you can, as you're beginning the process of researching how you'll respond to that essay question and looking at those specific jobs that you might be interested in. Here's some websites that you could look at to consider those types of jobs. Thank you very much.
Please follow us on social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn accounts, and a newsletter. This will keep you informed on anything that's happening related to our webinars and in-person events. And the more webinars and the more virtual and in-person events you attend, the more you will know about this program. There's so much more to cover. We cover a lot more in our 2 other webinars, general information and applying to EHLS. We also invite special guests to our special Q&A sessions on top of just answering any questions you have as you're applying. And that will give you a lot of more information, asking your questions directly to alumni of the program. So the more you know through all these different venues, the better your application will be. So we really recommend attending those. If you have any questions during your application, here are the best people to contact, but feel free to contact anyone. We'll be happy to redirect you if a question is better answered by, for instance, Maria Mariani at Georgetown University for any questions about Georgetown and the curriculum and the schedules. You can contact me for any questions on the oral proficiency interview, which is part of your application, and any questions on language testing. And you can contact Anna Gay at the Institute of International Education for any questions on the online application system. It looks like we have no questions at this time, so I wish you a wonderful weekend, and we hope to see you again soon in person or online.
Yeah, thank you for joining us all today. I want to strongly encourage you to apply for the EHLS program. While it's a competitive program, we provide opportunities to help you be a successful applicant. So we'd love to have you join us. So please apply, start the process. And anything from you, Dr. Matula?
I would just like to also say thank you very much for joining us. It's our pleasure to provide information about the program. And please feel free to reach out if you have further questions about the program.
Thank you.